Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. I am here at our Shannonville race event where we have Matthew, and he's going to go over what this chassis is, what he did with this chassis, why he built this chassis. He's been drifting actually quite a bit longer than I have. 2007, I believe, is what he said yesterday. And we're just gonna give you a big overlook. We have a ton of products on this car where we made a lot of custom things, a lot of off-the-shelf things, and this is the video that's gonna show you guys all about it.
So hey everybody, my name is Matt. I've been drifting since 2007. In 2010, I made the switch from S chassis to JZX. I was a big Daigo Saito fan, and that was kind of my inspiration to get into that chassis. This is basically the 15-year evolution of me building a JZX chassis. So I had the car for a long time before this one, and then I decided that I wanted to build, fresh from the ground up car. And basically this is what I would consider my dream spec JZX. Did everything to the best of my abilities and to the best of my budget. I got lots of help from some great partners, FDF probably being the biggest one. Let's show you around the car.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff. What is the drivetrain from the crank pulley to the back?
So I would say it's a pretty standard setup when you're talking about a competition spec drift car. It's a built 2J. It's got a GSR dog box. It's got a Bulldog quick change in it. Obviously full suspension by FDF. It's got a Mega Mantis kit on the front with some custom stuff, which is awesome. And then the rear is also complete FDF rear suspension arms, BC Racing coilovers. So it's pretty much like I don't want to say your standard FD spec build, but pretty much that's what I, looked at when I was building this car, is what are other people doing and how can I kind of do the same thing to guarantee that we're going to have a car that works right out of the box.
And when he says custom on the suspension, what he's referring to is that we made this fit a 350Z wheel bearing and brake setup, and we also added an adapter to run a Willwood caliper. Otherwise, this is everything that you could purchase on our website. That's the only difference. We did used to offer this knuckle package due to just the amount of people and questions and things going on. We wanted to keep it standard, so we don't offer this anymore, but if you requested it, sure, we can do it. You just got to switch to 350Z everything, which is a bolt-on hub, 5x114, and it is a pretty standard, easy product to get versus the press-in style on the stock knuckle. But underneath the engine bay, we've got a bunch of beautiful fab work, so take a look.
Yeah, so basically, Ryan Mott from Modified Performance, he is the guy, the genius behind all the fab work that you see on the car. So he, basically got the car as a caged shell, and he built out all the tube work, exhaust manifold, exhaust, intercooler piping. He fit the motor up, the trans, built a trans tunnel. So anything that's fab work was done by him. The guy's a whiz. He does super nice work. So he took care of that. The motors, built bottom end, built head toots at GE head off an IS300. So it's, I think it's starting to be a more common setup as people are trying to get away from expensive GTE stuff.
But you can see all the brands that you guys are familiar with seeing. We got Vibrant Performance on the catch can, Nuke Performance there, Chase Bays on your clutch and your brake setup.
That's right.
So you're running a boosterless brake setup to get the manual brake feel. Definitely custom when you go to the Willwood caliper setup. You're running so we have this package where we make a really lightweight brake setup, and I shared those part numbers with Matt. So he actually runs all the same brakes as my Corvette on this car, probably saving 70, 80 pounds of weight on the rotating assembly. We've got some DEI heat protection stuff, and I'm assuming this is a Plasma Man.
Yeah.
Is this?
Yeah, so it's a Plasma Man intake. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. We got Rad Dan here on some of the billet components.
Freedom Motorsports.
Freedom Motorsports on the motor plate. It's a culmination of a lot of brands you've definitely seen a bunch of, all coming together. There's little wiring, as you can see, but the car functions and works really well all at the same time. So you've got function and form built into the same package. The GSR is the same setup that I run. It's a 4-speed dog box, if you guys don't know. You do run the Drive Shaft Shop axles, custom length, technically an FDF Race Shop spec axle, but we get them from Drive Shaft Shop. And then the rear, we haven't done any work on like a custom knuckle or anything, but he is running all of our adjustable control arms. You are able to play with the bump steer, get some toe in under compression, stuff like that.
I know I said it before, but like this car could not have happened without the support of FDF Race Shop and Josiah too. There was so many back and forth conversations between him and I on, you know, what parts should be used. Josiah just facilitated like acquiring a lot of the parts and kind of speccing the parts. I mean, we could go around the car if you want. So
no sway bars, I noticed.
No, that's on the to-do list.
Right.
That's on the to-do list.
So we did size the spring rate pretty high.
We did.
Due to the extended control arm and the increase in motion ratio, we needed to go with a heavier spring. How do you feel about the spring? Because we kind of like went off of a whim on that choice. Is it driving okay?
Yeah, so the car feels fantastic. The previous setup on my other car, I think the spring rates were a bit too soft and you couldn't really fix it with the sway bars. The car had a tendency to lean way too much. And I think that was picking up the inside rear wheel, and it made it so the car actually didn't have much forward bite. So with this car, we went a lot stiffer on the spring rates. To me anyways, so far it feels like a rocket ship. We'll see how it stacks up against other cars. Like for example, today we're gonna be running with Josiah and the Vet. We're gonna be on similar tires. So it'll be a good test of the car to see kind of like, you know, where we stand in terms of, you know, speed, and then we can adjust from there. But definitely there's plans to put sway bars on the car.
I mean, for how long it is, do you know how much this car weighs?
So I haven't scaled it yet, but my other car was like 2950 filled with fuel without me in it. So these cars look big, but it's honestly mostly the trunk.
Yeah.
They're actually fairly light, and the wheelbase is exactly the same as an E46 sedan. So you think this is a big car.
Which is like, do you know what it is? Like a 10...
Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
I believe the Corvette's a 104.5. S chassis are like 98, 99.
Yeah.
So this car...
It's probably a bit longer than that.
Think it's longer than the Corvette? We'll find out.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We should measure it.
Head,
yeah, we should measure it. But anyways, like overall, the car is not as big as you would think. The length is all in the trunk, like the back end, right?
Even in the front, there is a lot of extra
overhang
stuff here.
Yeah, well, they had to do that to fit the 2J.
Basically, Matt gets to be 3 feet not in the zone, but he's in the zone because of the extra trunk. It's like a little cheater stick.
Yeah.
If I could stick it behind the Corvette. But the Corvette's got a very short, kind of like the FRS's, BRZ's, stuff like that. I'm sure it comes with its own challenges, having to run a different line slightly. The line that may not have as much rubber on it, the line that may whatever. Like it could be an advantage or not. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say is, in terms of like hitting like outer zones, you may be at an advantage because you've got the trunk, you've got the ability to get close to stuff without worrying you're gonna smash the wheel and the suspension. However, compared to like a Vet, for example, my wheel is probably 18 inches further forward. So I'm actually running on a different line entirely, and that could be a huge disadvantage in some settings, like Josiah was saying.
And then this distance, it's also right-hand drive, but this distance here, from where you're sitting to where the tire is, the Corvette, the back of the seat arch is almost part of the rear tire's wheel well.
Yeah.
So like your seat is probably here, you're sitting right on the rear tire, and then the front end is way in front of you. Whereas on this car, you're actually quite close to your front end.
Yeah.
And I know this because you can grab the wheel and push the car like this, and you can roll it by yourself.
Yeah.
The Corvette, you can't reach the front wheel when you hold the steering wheel.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that that is a huge impact on positioning in the car and where you are on the track, especially when you're running such a, like 12 inches is where you have to be inside or outside in a competition, and you're out of points.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, and this car will like rotate a lot differently, like from a driver's feel compared to like a Corvette, just because of where you're sitting in the car. Big difference in driving feel. All right, yeah, let's take a look at the interior. So on the inside, we tried to keep it pretty, you know, clean and simple. I don't like seeing wires and hoses and stuff going everywhere, so we tried to kind of tuck everything away and run it as nice and neat as possible. So we're running a full, you know, Link ECU dash keypad. We are running G4X Fury ECU as well. For the PDM though, we decided to go with ECU Masters just because like packaging constraints, and we found that that would have been like a better option for, you know, for our setup. And then of course we've got FDF handbrake. This thing is awesome. It's the 2nd gen. I much prefer this handle, honestly. Nothing against the 1st gen, but just I like a smaller handle. So when this one came out, I actually decided to switch to this new model. We're also running the FDF spec D&D steering wheel. This thing is suede. It's awesome. It's solid. It's light. And then we've got, a Car Shop Glow carbon fiber dash that came all the way from Japan. Super nice piece. Stoked to have it. Stock pedal set, because the car is built, in theory, so that it could run FD Pro Spec if we ever decided we wanted to go that route. Merco seats. We do have some D&D harnesses as well that we just didn't have time to throw in before the event, but those are also sourced, at FDF Race Shop. So if you need anything D&D, make sure to hit them up for that. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. We've got a nice tightly built cage. All the interior finishes and under the car has been sprayed with Steelit. That stuff is awesome, super easy to spray, especially if you don't have a paint booth or if you're not a professional painter. You just get some cans, man, spray it, the stuff lays on. It looks like powder coat when you're done, so it's pretty cool. And then if we step into the back of the car here, again, pretty standard, I don't want to say pro drift car, but you've got a radium fuel cell, 10 gallons sitting right over the rear axle to get the weight where we want it. And then behind that, we have a CSF triple pass R1 radiator, which again, that's another kind of like token item for, good drift car with some Durali fans and a fan shroud behind that. And then yesterday was actually a pretty warm day, and we did, I would say there was one session where we did almost 4 hot laps, and the car never got above like 87 Celsius. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. That's probably like
100 is like, boil at 220, so I believe it's like probably
you're just over
180,
yeah, exactly. So this thing kept us super cool. We're also running some nuke parts that we sourced from FDF Race Shop.
The CFC units, you got internal surge tank built into this, so that if your lift pump is ever starving itself, you've got a reserve that the 2 primary pumps draw from. So you're never going to actually starve the engine of fuel. There's always going to be fuel being drawn from. For probably 45 seconds, you could starve the lift pump and still be fine to drift. We've got the new performance filler neck with the easy, quick cap.
Twist lock cap. Yeah, that thing is awesome. Yeah.
You're running a Mazir water pump, same as me, under the car?
Yeah, it's under the passenger side trunk. So we were trying to offset driver weight. So we've got the battery sitting, in the rear passenger seat, and the water pump is actually also located right beneath that.
So as different as the cars are, I could use a bunch of parts from this thing.
Yep, for sure.
And still be good to go. So if one of us is out, we still got a spare package in the other's car.
That's the benefit of running kind of like a standard issue.
If I need
parts.
a brake and he's out, I'm ripping it off his car.
100%.
Basically. Golf clubs in the trunk, ready to go.
Oh, you got room for like 3 sets in the trunk. These things are massive. Yeah, so in the rear, I mean, this whole thing, I would take the trunk off, but it's got some zip ties holding it in right now. The whole rear is all fiberglass. It's all kind of floating. So we've got some Origin parts, like, the body kit, the over fenders, but there's this really cool guy named Martin Wanacott from England, and he makes basically like a LFC type clamshell in fiberglass. So we got that custom made by him this winter, shipped out, we put it on the car, and it's awesome because the rear end is actually quite flexible. So in the event that we do get into a wall, it won't upset the line of the car. Hopefully the rear end will just
like this.
Flex. Yeah, it'll just flex, come back, and then it's fiberglass, so we can take it off the car, fix it. You're not worried about sheet metal bending and making a big mess. And then there's a whole bash bar rear structure built by Ryan Mott. This whole basically everything behind the rad is all sacrificial, right? So like the structure, the solid structure of the car finishes about here. So anything that's behind that is all made to be
Do you have replacements?
Sacrificed.
Like a secondary bash bar for everything?
Yep. Ryan Mott's gonna set us up with some spares in case we do get into the walls.
Cool.
Yeah, so and my buddy Nick Lefave painted this thing. I think it turned out awesome. And the livery, I don't know if you guys can tell by the design, but it was done by Mike Martino from Design Shop React. Feel very lucky to have him, on board. He's a guy who's very busy and he's not always easy to get, so we're thankful that he took us on as a client and was able to knock out a super sick livery. Yeah, we lost that yesterday on the track, unfortunately.
No way.
Yeah, there was a filler piece
Shoot.
there. So sorry, Nick from Turbo Parts Canada. We're going to get you fixed up. We'll fill that back in, get the sticker replaced. There she is.
And you run an inline setup.
Yes, controversial.
This
Controversial in the FDF camp. So I know Josiah is not a big fan of inline setups.
It is if you can completely, I'm a fan of suicide almost. Or if you had a dual master cylinder setup, I could get away with it.
Yeah.
But I just don't like the feedback through the pedal.
Yeah.
When you're on the brake and now your foot brake feels basically half the throw and double the pressure from when you're on handbrake. Now I do like to do handbrake and brake at the same time.
Yeah.
A lot. So it's kind of, if you're used to not doing that, then I guess you'll never run into the scenario.
Yeah. I think it really depends on your driving style.
For sure.
My JZX 90 previous to this car was inline for, 15 years, and I got used to driving that. Now that car had a booster, so there was definitely some feedback if you tried to hit the foot brake and handbrake at the same time. So I just kind of drove around that. This car with the Chase Base Master, I tried it yesterday. I didn't really get any weird feeling in the handbrake or the foot brake while I was trying to do both at the same time. But as I get more seat time in the car and I get more comfortable in it and I try to push, the limits a little bit more, I may find that the inline is not the way to go. But the car's set up so that I can change it. Like we've got dual caliper brackets on it, so it's just a matter of throwing some lines in the car and some extra calipers.
You could add it easily.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason I did it was this way was basically for simplicity. And then also weight savings. We're trying to keep the car as light as possible, so we figured if we can get away with one rear caliper, it's less lines, less calipers, less weight, less stuff to brake. If you hit the back end, there's only one line, one caliper. So that was kind of like my mindset behind going that way, and we'll try it out.
It's a good argument.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, that's the end of this video. We're going to be onto the track. It's going really well so far. We're going to be doing the full track layout for 1 hour today, hopefully, if our rear main seal is good. I blew that yesterday, so I didn't get to drive much. If that goes well, lots of sick content. If it doesn't, we're still going to do some tandems and get down for some practice. We've got a competition in less than a month, so this is good practice for the two of us, and there's a bunch of other pro guys here. So we'll see you guys in the next video.